Whenever two Vins gather, great conversations can happen. Hello, I am Vin Ebenau. This is Eyes on the Jersey Shore. I am with State Senator Vin Gopal, who represents the 11th District in Monmouth County. Senator, I know that's something I kind of just came up with, but wouldn't you agree that when a couple Vins are there talking about whatever it is, good things can happen out of it?
Absolutely. It should happen more often.
For anybody deciding on baby names out there, Vincent is a good one. So today we're going to talk about issues affecting the Jersey Shore, Monmouth County, certainly with the pandemic, the vaccines, what has happened, what should be happening, and then talk a little bit about some other issues as well and sort of give you an opportunity out there to get to know Senator Gopal. So certainly things are in a good place here in mid-February, pandemic-wise. Snow-wise, maybe not so much. But with numbers heading in a positive direction, nowhere near a point where we should, put up the floats and have a parade across the Garden State here. But more people are getting vaccinated. It seems like we're sort of heading in a direction where more doses are heading to the state and to the Jersey Shore, which will help with appointments and everything. But I think one of the things that is still bothering people is what science was used to give the priorities for qualifications. Obviously, I think everybody's in agreement that the frontline healthcare workers, those in hospitals, doctors, nurses, police, firefighters, those who are out there on a daily basis serving and protecting us were first. But I think there seemed to come some agreements, especially after Governor Murphy's announcement a month ago, with different qualifications, teachers not among them. And that's something that you and your office, your 11th district team came out with a notice within the last couple weeks about teachers. Certainly, whether they're teaching in an all virtual world or in a sort of hybrid model here, what were your thoughts on why teachers were left out sort of at that priority 1A, 1B model?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have thought the governor did a good job in March and April getting the state ramped down. We did a lot better than other states. I've been frustrated by some of the lack of clarity after that, and I get it. Everyone is doing their best they can. This is the first effort, but I would have gone about it a much more strategic and specific. I mean, when we look at the vaccination system, and it's basically a free-for-all. You have to have folks who are at home and going website to website, trying to get an appointment against their neighbors. This wasn't the best way. Hopefully Monday morning quarterbacking, God forbid we have another pandemic or another crisis, we learn on what went wrong. But look, we know teachers have to get vaccinated. They should have been included. That's how getting our schools open plays a big role in getting our economy open. So I think all of that plays a big role. I think too, we need to focus on seniors and those who are in the most vulnerable positions because their immune systems are the weakest right now. 3, we need to focus on those who are working full-time jobs. I've talked to a number of restaurant employees, essential workers who are working 2 full-time jobs right now to make ends meet, and they don't have time to be on computers all day looking for an appointment. Someone like me who has the luxury of working from home and doing an interview with you in his pajamas and a t-shirt should not be on the list because I started smoking a week ago, which I didn't, but let's say I hypothetically did, I'd be eligible. And now I am able to get the same access as a 93-year-old senior who's gone through treatments. It doesn't make sense. I appreciate very much how hard our local, our county, our state officials are working. They're trying to get this right. They're doing the best they can. I think we need to learn and move forward. What we're doing here in Monmouth County, specifically in the 11th District, I'm working with our 4 hospitals. We're putting together plans to make sure that we are vaccinating our our underprivileged communities, making sure that our restaurant workers, our essential workers, our teachers, that those are the ones who are on the front lines, assuming they meet the Department of Health guidelines on vaccination, that they're at the front of the line. And we're working with each of those systems to make sure that happens.
And I think sort of hit on your point, at least with some of the arguments there with people about smokers. And it's certainly everybody who wants to get vaccinated should get vaccinated at some point. But what we're certainly discussing here is priorities from day one about who should get vaccinated first, second, third, and fourth. And I think the New Jersey Education Association is one of the organizations that came out about okay, well, why are teachers behind those who smoke, which certainly is something you choose to do, or people who are obese, and then and among other health conditions. And then even before that, it's people jumping the line, pretending or saying that they have certain underlying health conditions when they actually don't, not necessarily anywhere in particular, just across the state, sort of jumping the line, making appointments, trying to find loopholes in the system here. And I think that perhaps that's one of the reasons that the systems are logjam across the shore and across the state with finding appointments, with health departments being overwhelmed by phone calls and emails with people trying to find out information, book appointments, reschedule appointments. So is certainly, I think, to Monday morning quarterback here, perhaps something should have been more clear from the governor's office, or trying to organize things a little bit better so that it wasn't as chaotic with people trying to get information about vaccines, let alone schedule an appointment, or have to wait weeks or even more than a month to even get their first dose.
Totally, 100%. Look, I would love to get a vaccine tomorrow if I was eligible, so I can go out and do things, but in good conscience. And I hope the majority of New Jerseyans feel the same way as I do, is we wait our turn until it's appropriate, until every vulnerable member of our community of New Jersey, every senior, everyone who really needs to get it, gets it first, because we have so few doses. I would have liked to see something more strategic. That's what we're trying to do with our hospitals. We're doing great work with our federally qualified health centers here in Monmouth County. The VNA and OHI both are doing great work, going into our churches, going into our senior centers, and really trying to do this in a more targeted approach.
Overall, I mean, you hit on it earlier as well, just kind of on the sort of lack of transparency, I guess, which is certainly raised an eyebrow on both sides of the aisle here. This is not just Republicans going after a Democratic governor. It's, I think, the Senate president. There's been a lot of Democrats or Republicans who are trying to look to Governor Murphy, say, give us some more information to work with, more information to go on here. And I think it's still not too late for that to happen either. I think that, and allow your thoughts in on this as well, allow businesses, residents, first responders, lawmakers, everybody just sort of figure out how to plan better in getting vaccinated, when to open, how to open, kind of what they can possibly look forward to as an anticipated date. Okay, on this date, we're going to try to do this or try to do that. Do you have any plans, or what are your thoughts here on trying to push for more transparency so that people and businesses know what to do and when?
Been asking for that. I've been pushing for it since day one. It's very frustrating, and I've urged the front office, governor's office, Department of Health, put a date out, put a timeline out, saying, all right, this is when we're going to 50% or 75%, and you have the right to pull back if you see cases are going the other way. I think everyone is fine with that. Any rational, average human being would understand if you set a deadline for hypothetically March 15th, we're going to go to 50% indoor dining, indoor retail, but if these parameters hit with the transmission or the case rate or the hospitalization, we will pull back. I think anyone, and you're going to have a group, right, a chunk of people that are always going to say open no matter what. Those people are being reckless, I think. But the overwhelming majority of New Jerseyans, regardless of party, I do believe, are rational about this. That's the frustrating piece. There's no parameters. How did you get to 35%? Why not 40%? Why not 30%? This is, I think, it's been a key point of frustration. And again, I credit them because I do think they're trying the best they can. But we're going through many of these over and over and over again. And I've been in the shoes. I'm a small business owner. I remember opening my embroidery store 10 years ago, and Superstorm Sandy wiping me out, and I did everything I could to keep my employees in business. Without the lack of clarity, it's hard for any of these guys, not just for myself as when I owned the business, and I still do, but for my employees. Like, you have to have clarity. You have to know what the future is looking like. And I think that is the frustrating process. Again, we're going to our hospitals and our health centers, and we're going business to business. We're trying to identify those vulnerable employees. We're trying to make sure that at least folks here aren't cutting the line. It's very hard because if you're registering with the VNA website or Ocean Health, you got 15,000 people register. It's hard to vet who really needs it and who doesn't. And some of it's subjective. So, but there are key facts that we know. Age is number one. So if you're over 65, you should automatically be at the top of the list.
Sort of looking forward here and along those lines here, certainly, I mean, winter is winter, snow is snow. I mean, that's going to happen regardless of a pandemic. But as we head toward the spring and summer and try to be hopeful and look optimistically at what could happen, with all sorts of advice and guidance flying around from Dr. Fauci in Washington, or State Health Commissioner Judy Persichilli, what can be done, or what should be done, especially specifically at the Jersey Shore in the 11th and Monmouth County and Ocean County, which certainly relies a lot on tourism and outdoor dining in the summer and beaches and boardwalks and everything, to try and prepare for that in getting people vaccinated and helping businesses prepare for the summer ahead, whether it's through some more CARES Act funding or providing them with other sorts of grants and PPE to stay open so that they can survive, especially in the next couple months when it's still going to be cold outside. And we talked before we got on here, even in a non-pandemic world, you're going to be hard to find somebody who's going to want to sit outside in the middle of winter when it's cold and eat outdoors. I mean, maybe some people do, and that's certainly okay. But what should be done here? What can be done to help out Jersey Shore businesses and restaurants and everything prepare for the warmer months and the summer months without really knowing what could happen COVID-wise?
So we took the first step in that last week when the governor signed the bill sponsored by myself, Senator Sarlo, and Senator Poe, to extend outdoor dining for 2 years, extend drinks to go, extend a lot of these things to give clarity to these towns so they can do outdoor setups. Many of these towns, and we'd like to take credit here in Monmouth County, have been really creative. In Red Bank and Asbury Park and Brighton Ave and Long Branch, and a lot of these places have been super creating and creating these outdoor pedestrian walkways and have really brought people together and have done it in a very safe way. One thing we've seen is that many of these small businesses during this type of the pandemic, back against the wall, they were very creative, very innovative in making sure that they survived, not just for themselves, but for their employees and their landlords and the entire economic impact that it could or couldn't have. So I think that's an important piece. The second piece is it would be great to see some specific regulations that will come out based on the number of people who get vaccinated. Again, they're based on the number of hospitalizations, based on transmission, based on the COVID rate. I would love to see what from the front office, what does the next 6 months look if we hit these benchmarks? And I think that is the challenging piece right now. The number of mental health cases that are through the roof right now because our kids are not in school, because a senior may not be having graduation. These all have impacts, and these aren't laughing or joking matters. These are things that many of us took for granted. We know that a young mind is still forming at that age, 15, 16, 17 years old. And so that's a long-term impact that we have to deal with. So we need to deal with that now and figure it out, not just say, oh, the pandemic is here and we need to focus on that. Absolutely. But there's a lot of underlying conditions of this pandemic that we need to resolve. People are still struggling with their unemployment at alarming rates. I've got folks reaching out every day who are going paycheck to paycheck because they can't get through to the unemployment system. There are a lot of challenges we face, and I think New Jersey as a whole, both parties, because the opposing party, hasn't offered a lot in as far as solutions. They're great. They're good on criticizing, which they continue to do. And there is plenty of area to criticize. There are shortcomings, but let's work together and let's see what those next steps are. And I think we need willing partners on all ends.
One thing I want to touch on, one of the points you hit on in terms of education there. However this school year finishes out, whether it's all in person or still somewhat hybrid or virtual for whatever district in school, do you think that anything should be done to help out school districts, and especially children at the elementary and middle school levels who are still sort of developing in there and aren't necessarily used to, and even the special needs classrooms and the special needs students who are sort of trying to juggle things, juggle emotions, try to figure out how to adapt here for the following school year, and in making sure that they're comfortable, making sure that they're okay with being virtual or going all person and trying to adjust to a new life here, and making sure that their mental well-being is okay heading into the next school year with wherever we're at pandemic-wise in September, certainly hopefully in a good place where most people are vaccinated and schools can open at full capacity. So what can be done to help out school-age children sort of deal with the pandemic from a mental health standpoint through the rest of this school year and going into next school year to make sure that they're doing okay and they can focus on their studies?
Yeah, I mean, we have to. That's why it's so important to get our teachers vaccinated, our school employees, our custodians, our cafeteria workers, all of the bus drivers. We got to get as many of them vaccinated, and we have to go back to figure out what this learning loss has been. One of the things we've been pushing New Jersey to do is to waive the standardized test for this year, like New York and other states have done. Unfair to make a child. I mean, I remember being in school. I had enough trouble being in school and trying to take a standardized test. Now we're asking children to go by this. We're asking teachers to teach in very difficult circumstances. I think one of the things that we have failed, this government and the state has failed, is that we need to recognize that when that teacher is out of the classroom, that teacher may have children. He or she may have children. There's a dual, triple, quadruple effect that has. And if a small business owner needs to stay home with their kids, their business is closed. There's so many additional impacts that I don't think we calculated. And I think, again, if the governor took the steps that other states took, we would be in much worse shape. I think the state steps he took in March and April, shutting down, was the absolute right thing to do. But I think that now looking forward, there needs to be clarity because we can't stay in a state of paralysis forever.
Try to transition to a lighter note. Throughout the pandemic, I mean, we've social media, in person, whatever, we've sort of seen those moments or groups of people trying to create some positivity in the community, video wise, or just kind of going above and beyond to help somebody in need. What are some of the stories that you've heard or things that you've seen over the last 11, almost 12 months here that, kind of put a smile on your face to say, okay, the people here in Monmouth, the Jersey Shore, New Jersey, we're going through some tough times here, but you know what, at the end of the day, it's people helping people and there's still good things going on.
Yeah, look, we always, the great debate on social media, the negative, you always see people that don't even know each other who just talk like, they want to destroy each other and they don't know anything about each other. But we also see the positives. I remember during the beginning of COVID, when we saw, when COVID was rivaling throughout Italy, and we saw folks in Italy singing across from each other and some of those wonderful videos that still stick with me. But here in Monmouth County, we've seen it. We've seen folks helping their seniors with shoveling their snow. There was a great article just yesterday with a bunch of Ocean Township seniors with Mayor Siciliano, and they were going house to house to try to help every senior. And so we see folks helping their neighbors. We see the incredible work Fulfill is doing, the food bank of Monmouth and Ocean County, putting signs out and identifying those that are having food insecurities. We've definitely seen the best of folks, and we've seen folks come together to look out for their neighbors. We have to continually, the number one concern I have is the discourse in the country and discourse in our state and local areas where people like different presidential candidates or of different political parties, and they can't even have conversations with each other. It's a dangerous area we're heading into. We're also heading into an area of extraordinary misinformation that's put out there. So these are all the challenges that I think we need to collectively focus on. And I really am hopeful for the generations coming up who are going to lead on that and try to bring the civility back to a healthy level.
What would you say to, whether it's voters or just people out there, because certainly over the last few years alone, it's become, okay, it's Democrat versus Republican, and they never work together. It's one, and then whether you're a voter or somebody else, but it's bipartisanship certainly is a beautiful thing when it works. But for these people on social media going after each other because they voted for one candidate or another in the presidential or a local election, and then automatically it's like, okay, you're a bad person because you voted for that person or you voted on that issue. It's instead of just openly having civil conversation, whether it's in person or on social media. So how can we, as a society, sort of tone it down and have civil conversations, no matter what your beliefs are, what your party is or anything else, and trying to figure out a way to come together?
We got to do it. It starts with conversations like this, and we have to to think twice when we want to react to a Facebook post or a tweet or a conversation. Think twice, take a deep breath. It doesn't define a person unless someone's personally trying to hurt somebody else, where there are situations in politics where that's the case. It doesn't mean that in any of these scenarios not to be passionate, not to be authentic, not to fight for what you believe in and or who you believe in. But I think there's got to be a way you can do all of that. We can all do that by still showing decency, civility, and respect to the person we're talking to. Doesn't mean, even if you feel strongly enough, you got to call them a word or two, or they're being distrustworthy, or they're being whatever. You can still do it in a way that's respectful. But when we just shout down our opposition and we ignore them and we call them the devil, we call them evil, we call them all that stuff, that's when we've truly lost.
Name calling, I believe, is beneath people. It solves no problems. So something that certainly we need to think we should encourage people to stay away from. Going on sort of on a positive note, pandemic aside or pandemic here, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing, or the reasons that you became a senator in Monmouth County? That, why is Monmouth County such a great place to live and work, and for people to visit in the summertime? What makes Monmouth County, a good place to be year round, whether it's the pandemic, before the pandemic, after pandemic, just some good things about Monmouth County.
It's an incredible place. I'm blessed to be born and raised here, with the exception of college and a little shortly after college. I've been here my whole life. My parents live here. We have everything to offer, from urban to suburban. I have parts of my district that are full agriculture, and I have other parts of my district that are full urban. We're right on the shoreline. It's starting to become a big vacation spot, not just for people to go see, the Stone Pony and visit the Bruce Springsteen library over at Monmouth University. But there's a lot. There's the shore. We've got a lot of really good beach weeks, and I think a lot of folks around the Northeast. It's amazing when I go out. I live in Long Branch. When I'm in Long Branch or Asbury Park or Belmar, any of these places, you meet folks. They're traveling from other states to come to the Jersey Shore. There's just a lot to offer. Just the history, the culture, the geography. We're all slowly becoming one of the brewery capitals of the world, with breweries popping up, and we've got some great wineries now. So we're headed in the right direction. Prior to this pandemic, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, Jersey Shore tourism. So there's a lot to offer, and I think we're going to continue to try to steal people away from Cape May.
I guess we'll see how they feel about that. To close out here, during the pandemic, during quarantine, when you're not working, what has been your favorite go-to snack or movie to watch or TV show when you're kind of just sitting there and relaxing, trying to take your mind off some of the things that are going on out there?
My wife and I love sitcoms, so we watch a lot of Modern Family, King of Queens, old reruns of Seinfeld and Friends, but it's usually the most relaxing thing to do. I love to watch a lot of basketball, watch a lot of James Harden in the Nets, and easiest thing to get your mind off the world is to just tune into a basketball game or hopefully soon a baseball game and drift away. The part about my job that I love the most is the actual constituent parts. Constituent works, actually working with someone, couldn't care less what their political party is, who they are, just trying to help them through their problem, whether it's trying to get a vaccine or unemployment or a motor vehicle issue or just a local issue, or listening to them on policy legislation. I love the process of moving legislation. I love the process of trying to move a policy agenda. The part I hate is dealing with the politics. I hate the local politics of each town and the personalities, and this guy hates this guy because something happened 10 years ago. And most of the times these people are all fighting over nonsense, and it stops a municipality from moving forward. That is the most frustrating part. I also hate where we've come as a society as far as the mob mentality that people have, or gang mentality, right? When someone says something or does something, everybody on social media jumps on it, and immediately that person's a devil, or that person voted this way or that way. One of my favorite people in the Senate is this guy, Senator Steve Orho, who is a conservative Republican from Sussex County. One of my favorite people who I talk to all the time. I was talking to him yesterday. Probably don't agree with him on much, don't agree with him on guns, don't agree with him on a lot of policies. but I've gotten to know him well. We do a class, not this year, but every year at Rutgers on civility and politics, Democrat and Republican. And I've never even been to Sussex County. I don't even know where it is, but we're on two political ends of the spectrum. And the conversations I have with him, and we find where we can agree, I think hopefully should guide others that we all have to work together. We can't disparage each other.
No, exactly. And certainly agree with you on that. It's, when more people work together, things can get certainly solved quicker and more civilly. And I think that, what happens in Trenton or Washington on a national level is people are watching and listening and hearing. So, and then they just behave as such on a local level because they kind of see the authority figures acting in a certain way, and they think that this is the society we should be living in. When that bad behavior should not be what we're following here. So I think we had a great conversation. So a couple Vins having a great conversation here. I appreciate you taking out some time, Senator Gopal, to discuss the current events going on in Monmouth County, the Jersey Shore, the state during the pandemic, things that we should try to work on with regards to the pandemic, and then certainly in society as well. And I think you said it best, in just working together no matter what your beliefs are. So appreciate you taking out some time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That is Monmouth County State Senator Vin Gopal out of the 11th District in Monmouth County. This is Eyes on the Jersey Shore series. This is episode number 6, an opportunity for lawmakers, law enforcement, community leaders, people in the community to come on and for you to get to know them, learn about what's going on at the Jersey Shore in Monmouth and Ocean counties, so that we can all come together, work together, and find the best solutions and support one another. So look out for the next episode of Eyes on the Jersey Shore as well. Once again, for Monmouth County State Senator Vin Gopal, I am Vin Ebenau. Thanks for watching another episode of Eyes on the Jersey Shore.